Is it maybe, if we were going to be fair to Nigel, though, is there not a case where he's thinking in his...
I want to be fair to Nigel.
Yeah, well, let's be fair to Nigel. In his mind, of which only he'll know what's going on there, is he, because he's come out recently with stuff about like trans women, which he can't possibly believe. Is it just a case of we're at 33% of the public vote, we want to get the 35 to 40. We're going to have to get some of these sort of middling Tory kind of guys to move over. I've got to be a bit more careful regarding Tommy Robinson, regarding trans. And then once I'm in, as politicians always do, I'm going to enact what what I actually want to do rather than what I said, which I'm not saying that's an admirable trait or an admirable thing to do.
Well, I mean, you're accusing him of potentially, not that you're accusing him, but the insinuation is he may be lying.
Well, I think... Or curbing his...
Well, I think it's lying, isn't it? If you believe that transgender ideology is not a thing, but then you stand for it, that's a lie, isn't it?
It is, but, what's the point in standing by principles entirely if you don't actually get the job?
Well, I think it's fundamentally important, actually. So I would say that I don't think he is lying. I don't think, my own personal belief is that Nigel Farage... do you want this program to be a thing on Nigel? We can do that. I mean, perhaps it's interesting for people, but Farage, in my view, doesn't have a political philosophy. I think I mentioned that. He doesn't have an overarching set of principles that guide his political thinking. And he is what I would call the ultimate political expedient. He is a fox. He's not a lion. He's cunning. He knows how to play the political landscape, and he pivots from one issue to the other, depending on how he thinks it's going to be received by the electorate. And so you get very weird declarations coming out of reform. So on the one hand, they talk about ditching diversity, equity, and inclusion, but then saying, well, actually, if you're self-identifying as a man, you can go into a women's prison. And that can only happen if you actually buy into the DEI regulatory framework. You can't, because that's what gives the protection to the transgender ideology in a regulatory sense. So you can't say ditch DEI, but actually men who've got rid of their tackle can go into women's prisons.
I'd argue they're two different things.
No, they're...
DEI is an idea of, you go up in your position in a job because of your color, sex, background, or whatever, or trans stuff as well. Whereas this is this weird belief. I'm not saying it's any better, but it's this strange belief of, well, these people literally are women.
But these people are given the right to be treated as women through DEI, through the Equalities Act, through that form of progressive discrimination to which you referred. That's what gives them the foundations on which they can make the argument that they should be in a women's prison. And if you want to burn DEI, as I want to get rid of all the regulations that create DEI, the laws, and there's a multiplicity of them. If you want to get rid of them, it's impossible for reform to say that someone who's had his tackle chopped off can go into a women's prison. That becomes an impossibility at that point.
Yeah.
So it's not joined up thinking. And you will see this repeatedly with Farage. He talks about the need to cut back the welfare state, but he wants to remove the cap on two-child benefits, which is completely the wrong thing to do, by the way. If you want hardworking people in this country to be able to have children, you reward having children through the tax system. You don't do it through benefits. You can imagine who are the people who are going to, procreate like Billio if you do it through the benefit system. It's all the people who are not on work. Apart from anything else, they have time to bonk much more than others who are at work. And so what you want are policies that are coherent, holistic. And you can only come to those if you have a joined up, coherent, holistic philosophy. And that's why you get these really odd things coming out of Farage. He doesn't have that philosophy. And I would go so far as to say, and people watching this program are going to think Ben isn't right, but I'm absolutely convinced I am right. I think that even the campaign to leave the EU by Farage was a political convenience for him, because he could see that there was a significant minority of people in the 1990s in this country who wanted to leave the EU. And it was a soapbox on which he could successfully stand using the proportional representation system in the European Parliament to ensure that he gets returned to the EU Parliament time and time again. And my evidence for believing that he's not a true Brexiteer is that having won the referendum in 2016, if I had been Farage, I would have been cock-a-hoop. I would have gone, right, I've won my battle to leave, and now I'm going to stand here and I'm going to tell the British government exactly what they need to do to make us a proud, independent, prosperous United Kingdom. This is how you do it, boys and girls. And I'm not going until you, Mrs. May, deliver it. And actually, he did the opposite. We won the referendum, and he said, right, we won the referendum, I'm off. And that, I can't reconcile that in my head.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We can never know what people are really thinking. And I suppose I do try to see the good in everyone, which puts me in a difficult space.
I'm not saying he's bad. I mean, a cunning fox is a perfectly respectable creature in its own right. But, you know, what the country needs, from time to time, a fox can be a very useful animal. But what the country needs right now are lions. Lions that actually know what they believe in and will not give ground and will let the electorate know.